Hi, it's Friday, it's 3 o'clock. Welcome to Together Unlocked, brought to you by Together 2012. We're a community interest company based in the main Paralympic host borough of Newham. We're creating a lasting and concrete Paralympic cultural legacy through free programs for disabled people and for everybody of all sorts of arts, activities, screenings, and other events. I'm Ju Gosling. I'm Artistic Director of Together 2012 and one of the founders. With me, where she's been locked up, as she put it just now, rather than locked down for the last 12 months, is our chair, the artist and activist, Julie Newman. At the other end of our virtual wheeled sofa in Sutton Coldfield, well, we'll let our co hosts introduce themselves and give a bit of audio description. On a Friday, we also dress up to go out to stay in, adopting a tradition that was first started in New Zealand. They don't need theirs anymore. We do. So when we give you our audio description, we'll also tell you what we're dressing up to go out to stay in to do. So over to Sutton Coldfield.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Tracy Sergina, and audio description of myself. I've got long blonde hair that just comes past my shoulders. It's pulled back in a hairband. It's getting a little unruly. I've got pale skin, blue eyes, and wearing lipstick today. I'm wearing a long black sleeved top with a grey panel down the front and some leather, fake leather, faux leather down the side panel to make me look slimmer, although it's not really working, and some grey patterned leggings. And I'm in our studio, which has got a red velvet background and some interesting looking things hanging from it, which we'll talk about later.
And what are you dressed up to go out to stay in to do, Tracy?
Well, I'm actually going to be going to a women's retreat to do meditation and isokinetics.
That sounds absolutely wonderful.
I'm
I don't
really
know
chuffed.
what kinetics are.
Kinetics?
Kinetics. What
Yeah,
is
it's a method of exercise, I suppose, is a broad description. It's where you tense very quickly, that very slow, it's a slow tense on different muscle groups. And it's an interesting way of physically I couldn't get up and do a workout, but I can use this style of exercising to keep things going. So
That's a really good time for me to plug our highlights and links page, which is generally up on our website by about 5 o'clock on the day of the show. What we'll do is get Tracy to find us a link to a bit more information for you and for anybody else who's interested.
okay.
So, protect the human.
Well, yeah, good afternoon. So I'm Robin Sergina. I'm business director at Together 2012, and also an artist known as Angry Fish, and a Paralympic medalist at some point a way back ago. Um, so what do I look like today? Well, I am. I'm all sparkly and shiny and clean with very silvery white hair today. Um, Still with blue eyes, with no rimmed black armed glasses, and very cleanly shaven. Obviously, because I'm not sure. Well, anyway, so and I'm wearing. I can't remember why. Why did I shave? I think I got told to. There you go. Uh, and I am wearing a black trousers trackies on the bottom, and a watch. But I'm wearing a black t-shirt, black round neck, short sleeve t-shirt with a big green placard right across the chest, which says um, "Protect the Human." It is an amnesty t-shirt, but I am wearing it because I'm going to go to the Take Back the Streets demo on Clapham Common.
Thank you. So, Julie, who are you? What do you look like? And where are you going?
Hi, I'm Julie. I'm the chair of Together 2012. I am wearing a tabby today for audio descriptive purposes, a little tabby with a red and white collar. I have what colours are in this? hat, Ju? I can't really
You've
tell.
got a knitted beanie with shades of dark pink, dusky purple, and a little bit of orange.
Thank you. Very kindly knitted by our friend in Scotland. I have dark rimmed glasses. I have gold and silver hair peeping out from underneath my beanie. I'm wearing a very pale lilac hoodie, fully zipped up hoodie. So today it's my sporty look. Um, and today I'm going to Sutton Coldfield to join the Serginas for a
Oh,
bit of land work and exercise. So I might join Tracy as well at the same time. It's a nice surprise. There you go, guys.
Lovely.
well, we've got fajitas, by the way.
Whoa.
That all sounds good. I think the isokinetics might be a bit more my style. So I'm Ju Gosling, also known as the artist Ju 90. Behind us, yes, let's start from behind. Behind us, you can see a little bit of the famous Together 2012 graffiti banner with images of all the different arts activities we cover in a year, from photography, filmmaking, dance, visual art, music, street art, circus art, graffiti art, indeed, poetry, spoken word, and much, much more. And just in front of the banner between us, you can see Ted Fringe, my teddy bear from the Edinburgh Fringe. He's taking part in the International Virtual Bear Hunt and was unsuccessful on Wednesday in our attempt to win the Clockwork Paralympics and the right of our teddy bear to wear a medal for the next week. The Sutton Coldfield teddy bear won and can't even be bothered to be
No.
on screen. That's
She's here. She's here.
just not on screen for the virtual bear hunt. So I am wearing what ASOS sale department described as a festival hat. It's a kind of browny, silvery, coppery. Anybody?
Iridescent.
Crocodile Dundee.
Underneath it, I have a self-styled hennaed Corona crop. I'm also wearing black plastic glasses, black wrist braces, silver-coloured jewellery, and a long-sleeve purple T-shirt that says Weekend Collective on the sleeve. And I am dressed up to go out to stay in to the Liberty Festival. And the Liberty Festival, as many people know, is the Mayor of London's Disability Arts Festival. Didn't take place last year, isn't going to take place this year, but next year is going to return as part of the London Borough of Culture celebrations in Lewisham. So the GLA have just announced a whole series of commissions worth a total of £70,000. So I am dressed up to promote the fact that if you're a disabled artist or a disabled led arts organisation or an individual, and nobody's going to be asking for paperwork, it covers everybody from physical impairments, limited mobility, long term health conditions, mental health difficulties, being neurodivergent, being deaf, anybody who considers themselves part of that group can apply for between £3,000 and £10,000 to research and develop a project. And that project will then be presented next year as part of the launch of London Borough of Culture in Lewisham in January. And the successful commissions will hopefully then be taken forward with further funding and showcased during the year. It's not the Liberty Festival as we used to know it, where we took over Trafalgar Square or more recently the Olympic Park. It tends to be 1 or 2 days of events kind of taking place as part of a wider festival. But nonetheless, £3,000 to £10,000 worth of a commission is not to be sniffed at. So we're going to put the link in with all of the information and how you can apply. But we also wanted to just, again, as you talk about the demonstration, or well, in fact, the vigil's been cancelled by the police. So there is ongoing kind of discussions about whether any vigil is going to take place tomorrow. But we can't really move on without talking about personal safety, both as it relates to events and as it relates more generally. And of course, it's not just a women's issue. A lot of disabled people are very, very vulnerable to assault as well as abuse. Young men are actually the group most likely to be attacked, of all colours and all races. But of course, young people of colour are again particularly at risk. You know, one of the things we always say about parking is it isn't just about blue badge parking for disabled people in East London, it's about ensuring that young people of colour and all young people who feel they have to drive to stay safe are able to do so and access events. Did you want to come in there, Robin?
No, I mean, obviously, I think that the need to feel safe is really really important. Even if it's, you know, going to the bank and taking cash out of a cash machine. Um, you know, and as a wheelchair user, for example, it's very hard to cover the keypad. I mean, obviously, we're not using at the moment. There's not a lot of cash point use going on, but you know, as a principle, it's really difficult because they're down here, but you can only get so close, or they're up there when you're doing it. Um, so there's that side. You know, someone could very easily kind of watch you doing that and then have your card from you. But again, you've got to get if you've got to pull away from the cash point. I mean, and that's just one simple thing. You know, you've got to get your money put away, but then it's very obvious what you've been doing. Um, and but I think even out and about, you know, late at night and stuff like that is you've got to be so much more wary, because you can't run away. You shouldn't have to,
Oh, no,
but
absolutely. And I think it's where event organisers have a real responsibility that they often don't take. And we were talking about this earlier, weren't we? And you were saying that one of the things you appreciate about Together is that people are always sent home in at least twos. You know, when people leave the venue and they're heading for the bus stop, we try to ensure that nobody goes to the bus stop on their own, nobody goes to the station on their own, you know, that there is meaningful parking. Because again, I've had, oh, yes, there is blue badge parking, and then it's tracking across these appallingly kind of badly lit,
yeah,
deserted urban landscapes where even when there's two of you, because I can't go out without support, you know, it just makes you feel very, very vulnerable. But also it then makes it impossible for you to go out again because the people who worked with you previously go, well, I don't want to be going through all these kind of dark, dangerous places just in order that you can access something. But we were saying as well, weren't we, that the South Bank Centre, you know, there used to be such kind of, oh, it's wonderful to have the film festival at the South Bank Centre, but in fact, the accessible entrance was always through the back, underneath all this concrete, you know,
yeah.
past loads of skateboarders, really badly lit again, kind of puddles of urine. It was horrible. It wasn't just dangerous.
I mean, to
It was
bring
horrible.
to bring a kind of a positive to it is Sutton. So Sutton Coldfield, you know, it is a nice borough, but you know, it has every element of society lives within Sutton Coldfield, just like most other places. Um, but they have a thing on a Friday and Saturday night, which is called Street Pastors, um, because it's primarily organised by the cohort of local churches, and they have from 10 until 2 or 3 in the morning, so from 10 p.m. till 3 a.m. on a Friday and the Saturday night, there are people in Sutton with a massive urn of water, hot chocolates, teas, coffees, sweets, and flip flops. Yep, flip flops, because women primarily go out in shoes that they can't walk home in because they're not as balanced as they were when they left, shall we say. Um, um, but they not only do they kind of staff this table, but it's organized so it's done in pairs, but people then they have a route that they walk around, they pick up any stray bottles that have been left so that they're not there to be used as weapons. Not I mean, obviously it makes the place tidier, but I mean it's more, you know, or empty glass.
But it just sounds so
Yeah, it's,
sensible. I've never thought of street pastors as being also useful to disabled people. I've always seen that, you know, I've read about these schemes. We don't have them in East London. We obviously should, you know, and I think that's a really big thing to take forward. But I just also wanted to stress, because I know there have been a lot of concerns about this particular case, one or two bad police officers is just one or two bad police officers. The most sensible thing you can always do is report a crime as soon as it's happened. You know, there's third party reporting you can report through other organisations, including Together 2012, if you simply want to let the police know that something's happened. But well, the police aren't just our friends, are they? You know, your 20-year-old nephew who's been on the streets as part of the Metropolitan Police for, I think, over 12 months now, because it is another thing that really annoyed me over COVID. You know, the young people are so irresponsible, and you think there are so many young people working in the forces, the police, the NHS in particular, but not to digress, you know, police are family and friends like everybody else. Indeed, Renee, who does our social media, her son is another police officer, also a stand-up comic. You know, you're not just getting a police officer, you're getting a full human being. And I know it's easy to say that, but I was actually, and I've spoken about it on TV before, but I was the victim of an attempted abduction by two men in a city centre at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, clearly, I wasn't asking for it by going shopping. I do know, you know, how difficult it is, and also how little support there is at the time. But yeah, it hasn't stopped me going out. It will never stop me going out. And it certainly hasn't stopped me reporting things to the police. So, yes, I think we all need to be aware of our safety, but we shouldn't let it stop us. We should be looking and demanding safe ways about going out. Did you want to add a final word as chair, Julie? I know you often do.
No, I'm just, as you said earlier, I'm very pleased that we've always been mindful. We issued little personal alarms that are very easy. They just attach to a key ring.
Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned that. That's one of the easiest things you can do to help yourself. They're very, very cheap, but unlike the old alarms where you used to just press down on something, these ones are, yeah, they're like a bulldog clip. You clip them to your clothes, and then the fact they're on your clothes stops the two bits connecting. If you just fling it off, the two bits connect, it carries on screaming. And because you've thrown it away from you, for anybody to stop it, they have to leave you to go and find the alarm. So, yes, you're right. And I'll see if I can get a photo of those and put them up on the highlights and links page. And we will certainly be looking at street pastor schemes in Newham. I think finally we also have a safer spaces policy. And all organisations should have one of those, so that you look at safety in every possible way, in every setting, because of course it's our responsibility as organisers to make sure that people are safe. But
Could I add on to that just before you?
Tracy.
All the things that we've said. I mean, you know, yes, the crime rates against disabled people are shocking, and you just wouldn't think, why would people go around, you know, attack people for no reason. A lot of the time there isn't a reason, but I think you did say, you know, men particularly are the victims at the moment. But as a woman, that I have pride in the fact that I'm an independent woman, and I go out on my own. I go to evening meetings. I go to meet girlfriends in the pub, or, you know, for coffee. And I think what I found is, because I do worry, you know, I couldn't push somebody off, or, you know, do anything like that with my chair. Is that, you know, if I'm about to go into a shop and there's a big crowd of kids outside, usually I would just carry on and try and find a different shop or whatever. But then I started to think, come on, give them the benefit of the doubt. So as I may go in towards them, I'd be like, all right, lads, move out the way for me, in that sort of, you know, friendly tone. And they'd go, oh, yeah, no worries, no worries. And they'll move. And I think that's good. I think if you approach that group of people, they'd be like, out of the way, children, get out of the way. Then you're looking for, you know, a lot of mouth coming back towards you. So I think, you know, a lot of the time it can feel a bit imposing if there's a group of kids.
Yeah, it's being respectful.
Yeah.
If you want respect, you have to give respect.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
also, I always think with everything, it's always a tiny minority of people who
yeah,
are unpresent, and it's an incredibly small minority of people who go out there attacking strangers. But we will keep talking about these
mm,
issues throughout Women's History Month and obviously beyond. So we're moving on to Art Club, and our first item is Still Life with Alison Marchant. For anybody who doesn't know our club's program, it's free to any disabled person who can access it with anybody you want to have with you. Currently, those clubs are taking place on Zoom and also in terms of the pop up poetry club by telephone. On our Friday Art Club, since we transitioned to a digital platform, we now spend an hour instead of 2 hours drawing and painting, and we focus on a still life. So I'm just going to pop the still life image up on the screen and do a bit of audio description. So this is seen a pair of shoes on a white background seen from above. So you've got quite a clearly defined shadow over to the left. They're quite old fashioned, very worn, elderly sort of dance pumps, I think, in a sort of pale pink with sequins and things embroidered on them, and little straps. And although the shoes have been taken off, the straps are still on. So I'm just going to bring us back. Did you have anything you wanted to add about the still life? And I'm going to show you some of the art club members' work in a minute.
I think it's interesting because it's something different from what Alison's been showing previously, isn't it? So, from that respect, it demands different skills.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the shoes. I mean, I think it's a really nice still life because it tells a story, and that's what we've been talking about. You don't know what the story is, but you could make that up as well. And in fact, if anybody is interested in sending us some creative writing around these shoes, we would love to see it. But what we will be doing is popping the still life image up on our highlights and links page so you can join in from home. And here are a few pictures from this morning. So this is Glory Sengo holding up his pad, and he's drawn that with felt tip in all sorts of different shades of reds, yellows, greens, and blues. This one I haven't got the name at the moment, but I know that one of them is by Crystal Peasy, one is by Sophia. Sorry, I'm getting so many of these. I'm going to have to just take a couple off first. Oh, yes, here is Crystals. So again, she's used reds and yellows and got a very strong outline. I think what she's done is she's painted the outline and then she's painted over it, but you can just see the straps coming through. And this is Pamela Hillier's.
It's interesting what people see, isn't it? When you get four people looking at something, and you always get an individual interpretation of it. It's a bit like the poetry. I really like that. That sort of like individual response.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it depends on what you've got available
Mm.
and also how much manual dexterity you've got. So now we're going to move on to Art Club with Tracy. And Tracy is going to tell us more about how she made the rosettes that are appearing on the curtains behind you and have been up since International Women's Day on Monday. And
Ooh,
Robin is now holding one up as well.
my able assistant has just held it up. And
Do you want
yeah,
to just talk about it a little bit and tell me when you want the pictures up on screen, Tracy?
yeah. Well, this is our finished, well, my finished product, and it tied in quite nicely with on Monday for International Women's Day, because Julie was wearing a suffragette outfit, and they look at it like what are they called? Big rosettes. But basically, I continued with the theme of using things we've got in the house and upcycling stuff. And well, I should be able to make paper flowers. Let's give it a go. So we got some pictures that you could show Ju, and then I could talk through how I did it. So basically, I mean, very, very easy. You just need I've got an old magazine, but it could be, any brochure that's come through the door, pair of scissors and a hairband, or, elastic, bit of wool, whichever. I used 5 sheets of paper because then you've got you can layer with the colour that I wanted to come through. The first colour you see facing upwards, so that was screen 1. And then you go to screen 2. This is good. It's like a magic reveal. This is quite fun.
It might not.
So basically, what you do when you've got your 5 sheets of paper together is you have to concertina it, which means you fold it over at one end. A comfortable sort of width for yourself that you're going to be able to fold, and then just continue to concertina it all the way through to the end. So I've done half here, just to show you what how it's done. And then obviously put the elastic in the middle, and as you can see, you end up with 2 halves. Basically, just a finger and thumb is really all you need to pull it open, sort of fan it open a little bit. And then by using your finger and thumb, you take the first layer, pinch that up and lift it up, as I have with the completed one, and work that through from layer 1 down to layer 5. The further down you go, the less you lift it up, so that it gives that layering effect, and it makes the fuller picture for the fuller flower. And there I am. That's my first half done. And as you can see, because what I didn't mention is you scallop the ends when you've got it in the elastic. When you first start with it, you just make a circle, just cut the edges off, the rough edges, so it gives it a scalloped edge. And then you just repeat it on the second half of the fan. And there, hey presto, we have our flower.
That very one.
Yeah.
That's so
good. This is just magazine pages. You got the writing on it. You've got different bits of colour. But I like the way it picks out different bits of colour. You've got black, grey. You've got some of the white, and just the worded pages. I was quite impressed with myself.
Yeah, and I think because we also have a make a natter session on a Tuesday, which in the past and presumably in the future, when we're back in a physical building, has been about craft-based activities that are very inclusive and very accessible, but you can also use in fine art practice. And I thought that was a perfect example, Tracy, that just by choosing the writing, you've already put some fine art content into that rosette or flower, but they can also be pulled together to make costumes. We used a similar technique, but obviously not quite the same, with our carnival work in, having to count the years now, but back in, Hackney Carnival 2019, it was the last carnival we took part in. And Para Carnival, who worked with us, used netting. And netting actually worked. I mean, you weren't very impressed, were you? Because you hate those netting things that I have in the bathroom, and it was like we were making thousands more of them. But that was in bright pinks and lime greens. So it's a really interesting technique. Have you used it with Girls Brigade for anything apart from making flowers?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of different things we can do. Are we talking about netting or paper?
No, going back to these particular rosettes, joining them together, or how do you put them on stalks? Is it quite simple?
Yeah, because at the back, if Robin turns it over for me, you can see how it sort of looks like that.
It's whiting out, but here is the elastic that you've used in the first place. So anything you want for stalks, you would just.
I think, Robin, if you want to just say that again in front of the microphone.
Sorry, he's trying to show there. Such a professional me. It's quite hard to see on screen, but you've got the elastic that was originally round the middle, which is then at the back. So if you had a stick or pencil, lolly stick, whatever it was that you wanted to use, you could just pull out a bit of the elastic, and that would give it that hold.
Yeah.
And you'd have to experiment a bit, but some plastics would translate into making flowers that you could also put outside or in
Yes.
window boxes. So thank you as always for that, Tracy.
Welcome.
You're due back next week for Art Club, but I think we might see a bit more of you over Women's History Month as well. It was great to have you around on Monday. So after the break, we will be joined by Josh Sergina, and we will be telling you what we're recommending you to do over the weekend in our usual feature, Something for the Weekend. Robin will be finishing the show with some live music. But first, I'm just going to put on a short video to tell you more about the activities you can find on our website to join in with from home. Together 2012 is running a Join In From Home programme from our website, together2012.org.uk. Click on the link at the top of the page, Join In From Home, to go straight to the main page where you have a wide range of accessible, inclusive creative activities, mostly using things that you would already have at home. At the top of the page and throughout the pages, you will also see videos in British Sign Language to translate the site for deaf people. These videos can also be useful if you have difficulties reading and you simply want to hear more of the content. The Join In From Home programme is based on the activities that we would usually be running in East London. So, for example, we have an arts club which usually operates on a Tuesday with craft-based activities and on a Friday morning for drawing and painting. Here you can join in with the arts club's Hands project and celebrate your uniqueness and membership of the human race. There are full instructions on the linked page here. But essentially, we invite you to draw around your hand on a piece of card. It could be an old cereal packet. Cut the shape out, turn it over, and decorate it with anything you would like to do. It could be paints, crayons, glitter, collage, beads, leaves, anything you can think of. Photograph your hand or hands and send it to us at tv@together2012.org.uk. We'll add it to our video installation and share it on social media. Our music club usually meets on the first Friday of each month. We have an open mic session and we invite everybody to play along with percussion instruments. So here you can learn how to make your own percussion instruments from recycled materials. And you can also join in a percussion workshop from last summer in terms of Carnival Percussion. So these three instruments are used most often in Carnival. We have a shaker and a go-go and a hand drum. So this is how to make a recycled shaker, a recycled go-go, and a recycled hand drum. You can also, if you're technically minded, make your own tactile sound instrument. This does require a few simple electronics, but is a very interesting and exciting project as part of our Vibrafusion ongoing work. You can also listen with Together. We have Spotify playlists created by Robin Sergina, also known as our TV presenter Angry Fish, and we also have two classical music playlists from Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra, including one that's uniquely suited to people who are feeling very unwell. And in fact, we've added some more playlists since then, haven't we? Courtesy of our very own Julie Newman. So you did 2 last month for LGBT plus History Month, but on Monday you launched one for International Women's Day. Do you want to tell us a bit more about that?
Yes, indeed. Hi, Josh.
Hello.
Then we'll go over to Sutton Coldfield for some more introductions.
No, I had a lot of fun over last weekend, just going through some anthems, some nice early music. It's a bit of a mishmash, but it's all by women artists, and it was interesting to me to see how there isn't actually an awful lot of difference in terms of the topics and the sentiments that are expressed between sort of Etta James, for example, and who would I say? I don't know. Blah blah blah. But Dionne Warwick, or sort of like some of the more traditional folky type women's songs. I think the emphasis that I really enjoyed was the emphasis on strong women, and I think that's certainly something that Mandy Colleran, who's worked with us in the past, is very, very, very clear about and very emphatic about. That we are strong women. We might be disabled or otherwise, but we are strong women in the core of us.
Thank you. And you said you enjoyed it over the weekend. So, as a weekend activity, it's not just about listening to Spotify playlists. You'd never used one or put one together till last month. So, how did you find it? Just very briefly, how do you do it?
You just, what I did was I downloaded the Spotify app,
And that's free.
which is free for my iPad, and then I just played with it to try and get a sense of it. There's something called My Library, and within My Library, you can create a series of playlists, and that's what I did. So if I edited it so that I could create my own title for it, and then there's a button that you press that says Add, and then there's a little magnifying glass which you push, and then you can type in the artist that you want to search for. And then what happens is that not only do you get opportunities to see their albums or their singles, but once you add something and go back to the list, they also have suggestions of similar artists that you could add as well, which I thought was quite interesting because there were one or two that I had never heard of before, and I thought they were great. I really loved it.
So that's a perfect weekend activity. So I think now if we go back to Sutton Coldfield for some introduction, some audio description, and some recommendations from the weekend from you.
Hi, I'm Josh Sergina. I'm a Together Unlocked host, and I'm a PhD research student. I have slightly damp, long blonde hair, and today I'm wearing it's a grey body, kind of black sleeves, long sleeved rugby shirt, and it has a very silver O2 in the middle, and then a red and green English rugby rose, or red, white, and green, I should say. Actually, before I get half of Yorkshire coming to fight me for missing out the white bit on the rose.
So what are you dressed up to go out to stay?
Yeah, completely forgot. Sorry.
Hey, Tennis?
I am dressed up to hopefully go and watch England play France. I haven't actually checked to see if the match is happening. I know that their last match was postponed because of COVID protocol things. So one, hopefully that they're both playing, and two, hopefully England play slightly better than they have done in their last three matches, because it hasn't been the best of tournaments for them so far. So I'm holding out hope that they're gonna remember how they can play as one of the best teams in the world, and it will be a great match because France are very good at the moment.
So what else would you recommend for the weekend, Josh?
So I've only got the one thing for the weekend. Actually, and I was flicking through Amazon yesterday. The days don't merge into one anymore. Yeah, I was flicking through Amazon yesterday while I was eating lunch because I need something to kind of put on in the background for half an hour while I was eating a sandwich to distract from work. And I realised that the first 8 seasons of Mythbusters are all on Amazon Prime. And I love Mythbusters as a kid. I mean, I still do love Mythbusters, but I loved it as a kid. So yeah,
I've never heard of it. So go on.
So it ran on the Discovery Channel. From 2003 to 2016 with the main cast. So it started out with just 2 people, a guy called Jamie Heineman and a guy called Adam Savage, who were both special effects experts. So they both worked on The Matrix Adam worked on the Matrix and Star Wars and Terminator and things like that as kind of model builders. And then they expanded it as it kind of went through, and they picked up 3 other hosts. And they basically using the scientific process, testing everything from kind of urban, myths and sayings to things from films. So it's stuff like toast always lands butter side up. Does it? For example, they did 500 bits of toast off the table. What's the statistics? Things like, can you build a boat out of duct tape and row it? All sorts of all sorts of weird and wacky things.
Lots of explosions.
Yeah, quite a lot of explosions.
So not quite busting myths of the kind of Greek kind, then.
No, it's not like, is Bigfoot real? It's
does toast land butter side up?
Yeah, does toast land? Will a race car going over a manhole cover pick up the manhole cover and things like that? And did it came with a phrase that one of the guests used on it, that the only difference between science and screwing around is writing it down, which was kind of just really embodied the whole ethos of the show, and something that I think is a great phrase.
Yeah, it certainly sounds perfect as we come towards what we hope is the end of lockdown 3, and people have got a little bit fed up with everything else. Yeah, I'll check that out. So where is it on again?
Well, I've seen the first 8 seasons are on Amazon Prime. I mean, if anyone has like the Discovery Channel, there's probably reruns of it on all the time on TV. But I know that certainly on Amazon Prime it has seasons 1 to 8. But yeah, it's worth watching. They're like 45 minutes and they're great fun.
So we'll just be popping those on the highlights and links page, which should be up by 5. Robin, what do you recommend?
Okay, I got a couple, but I'll go with the one. The first one is called Creative Writing in Music, Vibe and Repeat. The title doesn't necessarily help. It's an online workshop for anybody, I guess, really, who's thinking that they'd like to write songs. From the newbie to someone who might just be thinking, oh, how else does somebody else do it? Because as creatives, we always like to know how other people hone their crafts. But it's so it's an hour and a half workshop or presentation, probably, I guess, being led by a female singer called Demilola. She's from London, and she's done it. I mean, a huge amount of work around women in music and the presentation of women in music, particularly in African music, which is a lot of stuff around Senegalese women and music. I'm sure there'll be a way of their exposing her music as well, so you get to see what she sounds like. But it seems very much that someone who's got quite a diverse set of influences, how she brings those together into creating the music, and whether that's the words or whether the music is the teller of the story, or how you use those together. So I just, there is a small cost. It's £5, but still cheaper than the cinema.
Well, also, we can't expect artists to work for nothing, and that's something we should all be pushing. I mean, something that I really noticed, because you're picking up the relevance to Women's Month, which is what we're trying to do, is that there's no central point of information. And that's because nobody runs Women's History Month. There's a very small organisation called Schools Out, mostly led by Sue Sanders as a volunteer, who set up LGBT plus History Month from the start and have coordinated it and carried on coordinating it. And sometimes they've had grant funding and sometimes not. But there's no kind of, and local authorities can put a lot of money into Black History Month. There's, again, Disability History Month in the UK was set up by one person, Richard Reiser, who continues to coordinate that information with or without grant funding. But I haven't found, although I will continue to look, any sort of list that says what's on for Women's Month. But there will be things, just in the same way that there were lots and lots of local things available online and places you could go to online in other parts of the country as well. There will be things for Women's Month. Have you found anything specifically, Julie?
I've got a couple of things. One I thought might interest Josh, which is the Capital science fiction.
And it's yes, but for Women's Month first.
Oh no, sorry, I beg your pardon. I thought.
Did you find anything for Women's Month particularly to recommend today?
No.
Okay.
Sorry, I was looking more generally. I beg your pardon.
So we will continue to look for listing sites, but if you put in things like Women's Day, for example, lots of local authorities and groups who would have had Women's Day things won't have them till this weekend because Monday was a working day. So yeah, do keep checking it out. And if you hear of great women's projects, and particularly disabled women's projects, we would love to know about them. If you're a disabled woman who wants to come on the stream, please let us know. I'll put some information up, but you can contact us at info@together2012.org.uk, or if we're live, just drop us a line in the chat. So, Julie, sorry, you were talking about science fiction.
It was a science fiction convention, and it's virtual. It's a fundraiser for children's hospices across Scotland, and it's £3. But for that £3, you can dip in and dip out all day. And I think really £3 as a fundraiser for children's hospices is, I would suggest actually offering more, but that's just me. But I just thought it would be fun. They've got loads and loads of stuff which Josh has spoken about previously, sort of like the dressing up, the special effects, the props and those sort of things. And I thought I'd certainly sort of drop into that.
And what was the other one?
It's called Stanza, and it's St Andrews have got a 3-day poetry festival, mostly free. There's a couple of paid round tables, but the rest of it is free. And it starts today, and you can drop in and drop out. They've got loads of poets. There's loads of opportunity for budding poets, I think, to get inspiration and also to see what's out there. It's a way of connecting virtually. And again, it's in Scotland. So, I think Scotland's doing quite well.
Well, I think it is, but it's also the great bonus of our digital year, as we've called it, that you can go to other places. I was giving a talk in Shrewsbury on Wednesday night. Now, it would have been virtually impossible to find a PA who was prepared to drive me to Shrewsbury and support me in Shrewsbury. It would have been impossible for them to pay for me to go. But as it was so easy, just hop on the computer. Last week, gave a talk in Scotland at Glasgow Film Festival. Now, being Glasgow Film Festival, they might well have paid for me to go there. But then you come onto the kind of the lack of access on the trains, and do you have time to take that many days out, and you're going to have to take it as a holiday because it's not really being paid. And so yeah, I think it's wonderful to just go and look, go and check out some events in different parts of the country that you would usually not go to. And I think as well it will be an opportunity to find out about a lot of Scottish poets.
Yes, of course, there's a rich tradition of poetry in Scotland. And the person who actually, not Robbie Burns so much, who comes to my mind is Jackie Kay, who's a wonderful woman poet. And she's just, I love her
And the
work.
Scottish equivalent of the poet laureate, it has to be
Yes,
said
absolutely.
at the moment. Did you have something else, Robin?
Yeah, just another small one. Again, I know that the tickets there were less tickets available as the day was going on, but tomorrow at 6 o'clock there is an online pantomime of Jack and the Beanstalk. And it's been quite hard to find things that are good for the whole family. And if if you're a family that likes pantomimes, you won't have been able to go this year. And it's free. So again, I probably a bit like Julie has done. We found the right website which gives us a list of things, and it's picking out the ones, and so actually on the links that I will have sent through from the show, the front end of it is somewhere called Ticket Source, So if the things that we're recommending aren't what you want to do, just take that front end of the address which is ticket source. And there's so much on there, but I think what has changed is how many more things there are now on there that you have to pay for, which is understandable. Don't take that the wrong way. But there was at the kind of the beginning of this, it was like we've got to do something, and it was all free. Whereas, I mean, one of the things I thought looked really, really exciting was a quad biking experience around Marrakesh, until I saw how much it was, and then I thought, well, okay, well, I won't recommend that. I mean, yeah,
That does sound to me somewhat like paying somebody else to do it with a camera on their book.
yeah. I mean, I think so. It is. I mean, yeah, you wouldn't get any of. I having never been to Marrakesh, and I wouldn't get to Marrakesh. I wouldn't get to the airport from here for the price of actually what it was to do the virtual experience. But yeah, it was.
Yeah, actually, and I mean, I'm just going to take a punt on this one, but my GoPro camera automatically uploads everything to the GoPro site, and I believe there's a facility to share. So if you're interested in sports cam footage, if you'd like to sort of literally be a fly on the shoulder of people doing all these kind of rather dangerous adrenaline sports, then don't just check out YouTube. Look at GoPro's very own website. You don't have to pay to do any of that. So we're coming towards the end of our show, or rather the point when Robin takes over in his persona as the musician Angry Fish and plays us out. But we just wanted to talk about what's coming up next week. Monday, we always have a feature called App Date, and we've been investigating various things, including an app that allows you to play games entirely with voice control. So we'll be looking at different things for that. We've got photography and film. And was there something in particular I think you wanted to flag up? I know we'll be looking again very briefly at stop motion, which we looked at a couple of weeks ago. There's a stop motion animation app, and our film and photography club, which takes place on the second Monday of the month, tried using the app over Zoom. So one person had the app and other people moved things around on their screens, and they still managed to make a film. So we're very impressed. We'll be showing those and talking about how you too can do it. And as always, on a Monday, we finish by relaxing with Awa. Did you have anything you wanted to add about next week, Julie, or any messages for the weekend?
Just there's a site called Virtually London, which has got loads of theatres and music and stuff like that. Just check it out.
Yeah, and I'm particularly keen on the panto because there was so much that we could have seen over Christmas, and yet we never got round to seeing any of it. So it's one last opportunity. Thank you all so much for joining us this week. We will be back on Monday, and as always, stay home and stay creative, stay well. So I'm going to take us off the screen. I think Josh will be going as well, and we will be handing over to our very own Angry Fish.
I shall enjoy your weekend, everybody.
Well, I will just disentangle myself from the wires. There are various complications to being a wheelchair user and a musician. One of them is wires. So, hopefully, without too much further messing around, I will be ready to play you a song. Okay, so this song is called Family, and I think it's a kind of very important part of what's going on at the moment in all of our lives. Family is really fundamental. So here we go. need to be one great big family. We really need to be one great big family. We should talk about things we like to do. We should share all the good things in our lives, 'cause what is good we should hold on to. We should shout from the roof 'cause we're past our views. Tell the world that what we're fighting for is to open all our minds and all the locked doors. We need to be one great big family. Yes, we really need to be one great big family. All around the world in different places, different colours, genders, we can see it in our faces. Hope for the future, hope for our freedom, hope from desperation, hope for who needs feeding, hope for our peace of mind, hope for our seedling, hope for strength to win the battles of the needy. All around the world in different places, different colours, different genders, see it in our faces. Hope for the future, hope for our freedom, hope from desperation, hope for who needs feeding, hope for our peace of mind, hope for our seedling, hope for the strength to win the battles of the needy. We need to be one great big family. We really need to be one great big family. We should talk about things we like to do. We should share all the good things in our lives, 'cause what is good we should hold on to. We should shout from the rooftops, broadcast our views. Tell the world that what we're fighting for is to open all our minds and all the locked doors. Whoa, whoa. All around the world, in different places, different colours, different genders, we can see it in our faces. Hope for the future, hope for our freedom, hope from desperation, hope for those who need feeding, hope for our peace of mind, hope is our seedling, hope for the strength to win the battle of the needy. We need to be one great big family. Yes, we need to be one great big family. We need to be one great big family. Have a great weekend. Bye from Angry Fish. Bye from Together Unlocked. Enjoy.